Thank you for staying with me. This is the next part of my nerdy Gurdy build log. I'm going to do the little itsy bitsy complicated little bits today. And when I finish that, I should be ready to stain the machine and varnish it, ready for the final assembly. So let's have a look at these bits first. There's two alternatives for the what does he call it? The drone bridge support. This is the first one, and you glue these pieces together. There's about 5 different pieces, 3, 4, 5, and they get glued together. Don't glue the little pieces because they've got to slide, be adjustable. And there's 2 M3 bolts that goes in there. Now I've been on to Facebook and asked what other people have done, and they've said, well, they're not going to do the first drone bridge support. So I will only do that if I have trouble with the design number 2. So this can go into the bin. This is design number 2, and you need to print, or if you've got the kit you will have received these string supports here, and the M3 bolt goes through. Now in the manual it doesn't actually show nuts on the ends of these M3 by 20 bolts, but I'm going to go with the nuts, I think. Anyway, that all glues together, and like that, and I'm going to bolt it together with the bolts. So that's the drone bridge support that I'm going to use. The next bit is the buzzing bridge, if that's what they call it. Sorry, but I'm not very familiar with all these nerdy-gurdy terms. It's a new instrument to me. So this is the buzzing bridge. That all goes together, and it's got some 3D printed parts that go into it. So I'll just go through how it goes together. Right, first of all, these 3 bits get glued together, and then the last bit glued on. Just dry fitting at the moment. I'm not going to glue it, and I suggest that you dry fit as well. Make sure everything fits nicely. And we've got these 3D printed parts now. I only printed one of these, the one I'm pointing to, so the little noise you can hear in the background is my SLA, my photon printer, printing another one of these. Now these printed parts, that one that looks a little bit like a shed goes in on the top there. This string support slots in there. This piece with the tabs facing upwards slots in there, and then the last one of these, which I haven't got at the moment, I'm printing, plugs in there. Right, so that's the buzzing bridge, and you'll need, well, according to the manual, you need 2 of these M3 bolts to go in here and here, and you can then adjust the distances of these string supports, but I think it should have bolts the other side as well. That wasn't mentioned in the manual. but I'm going to go with 4 bolts instead of 2. Now the next fiddly bit is the bridge assembly itself. We've assembled it now, and there's, if you remember, this inside embedded there are M3 nuts, a couple of M3 bolts, M3 by 12, screw into those nuts. It might not be immediately obvious how these bits go. So the little triangle goes in there with the right angle facing upwards and the slope going east-west. That goes in there. I'll only do one side, and then it's pushed down with this piece. Now you'll see that if you tighten this bolt here, it'll raise this piece of wood there, presumably to fine-tune the height of the string off the wheel. So this will slowly lift the strings off the wheel until you've got the optimum distance and the best sound on your string when it's been cottoned up. I'm saying all this as if I know all about hurdy-gurdies. I know nothing about hurdy-gurdies. So I'm just hoping that nobody is going to flame me for making a mistake. So those are those little bits. They're ready for gluing. They all fit together nicely, and that's going to be my next job on those, to glue them. I've printed the tangents out in PLA wood filament. I did them in wood because I've got a nickel harper which has got wooden tangents, and that sounds lovely, so I'm hoping that these tangents will be okay. If they're not, I will use plastic in the same way as it's recommended. I've decorated my handle with a butterfly, and that's going to be glued together and stained up. That's also been printed in the 3D wood filament. And the main body, which I have here, let's bring it over. I hope you can see that. I've been experimenting with wood stain on this part here, a little bit of decorating with my CNC machine. I can't make up my mind whether to make it solid wood stain or a sort of distressed effect like that. I think I'm going to go for a smooth wood stain, not the distressed effect, and I'll polish it up with linseed oil and with beeswax, hopefully. Anyway, I'm going to experiment on this bit, which is the key cover. Take the key cover off, and it reveals where the tangents go. So I'll take that off, and I've got to screw the tangents into these, but after I've stained the key box. The key box I'm actually going to stain in oak, which is a greyish colour, because I don't want the graphite lubricant to show up against the wood. So I think oak will be the best colour for that. The rest of the hurdy-gurdy I'm going to stain in this colour, which is mahogany. I'm going to experiment first on this piece. If I mess it up, I'll just machine another one. So that's where we're at the moment. I'll come back again when I've stained it all and it's all ready for the final assembly. And that video, my next video, should be the last one. I can hear you heaving a sigh of relief on that. Unless I decide to play a tune for you as well. Don't run a mile. Thank you for watching my video.